Howdy, folks. I want to welcome you to the campfire, a place where we can just sit and tell a story or two, and we can ponder on the unusual and mysterious things that occur out here in the wild. I'll tell you some of my stories, and well, you can tell me some of yours. This is Clay Steele. Come join me around the campfire here beneath the stars. Grab a cup of coffee or a cold drink, and let's talk about our stories. Can't wait. Well, this story, folks, is about backcountry mountain workers, ranch workers, and there's lots of them in this United States. There's lots of them in the world, but there's lots of them in this United States, and mostly they're unsung heroes. They don't get the attention that they probably deserve. They work hard, they work in pretty adverse conditions, and they work year-round. And, they provide America and maybe some more of the world, different parts of the world, with meat, sheep and cattle, and there's lumber workers, there's a lot of wood that has to come out of those mountains, and there's sportsmen that want to go into the mountains, so roads have to be built, and all kinds of neat stuff. And it's not just that there's summer workers, because there is winter work as well. The cattle, if they, usually they come out of the mountains down to the home ranches, but often those home ranches are kind of up there too, so pretty rough work normally. But what usually happens is in the spring or the summer, as soon as you can get back in there, you're fixing roads, you're fixing fences, you're fixing water sources for cattle and deer and elk, as well, and antelope. You're kind of improving things in the spring and the summer to get the animals through. And then in the winter, when the snows come and the rains come in the spring, that damages get done then, and so you're fixing them once again the next year. So this is about one of those projects where we as workers went in to build a new road, to extend a road that existed farther up into the mountains. And normally that's those mountains are cleared of the cattle in the fall or late summer. They push them out, horseback. That's just the way to do it. And sometimes they use quads and side-by-sides now, but mostly it's horseback here in the United States. And it's always nice to have an access road farther up for camping, should the cowboys have to go farther back up into the mountains. Sometimes it's nice to have a sort of a line camp up there to, not have to come all the way back down to the home ranch and stay the night or for supplies. So that's what we're doing. We're always pushing roads farther up and cleaning the roads down lower to get there. Now this is down in this, we have to go around the shoulder of this big mountain that really doesn't get very much access because it's not good cattle country anyway. And then down into the next canyon where there's water. And so we want to go improve that water. That's an ongoing thing to do on one of these ranches, is improve water sources. So we've got the bulldozer going, and I've got a guy on the ground. He's got a Jeep and a chainsaw and, all that stuff. And we're working along, and it takes us about 3 days to get down the backside of that shoulder of that mountain down into that canyon. There's nice green, lush bottom to that canyon with big trees and nice water. The creek's pretty wide there. It's not real deep or fast. It's just nice and big and wide and wet. It's just kind of heaven down in there. And we got to the bottom of that on, the third afternoon, the afternoon of the third day, and decided we'd leave the bulldozer there for the night, and like we'd been doing, leaving it on the road and then fueling it in the morning and greasing it and oiling it, because you can access it with the Jeep pretty much to where the cat stopped. So we made a nice big turnaround down in that creek bed and left it there. And old Frank, when we were leaving, he was my helper. He's the one driving the Jeep, and he said, it's awful weird that we don't see any animals down here, and don't it seem strange? And I thought, we've made a heck of a lot of noise getting down here for a day, driving down the side of that hill, pushing rocks and all, so it didn't really surprise me, but we didn't really see a lot of sign either. I didn't give it much thought, and we went back, had dinner, and did all that back at the camp. So we got back next morning. We didn't get back till about 9 o'clock to get to work. It was kind of a late morning. We had chores, but we got down in there, and And darned if that bulldozer had some rocks sitting on the hood and the dash. It was the strangest thing. You know, never seen anything like it. The dash had been smashed with a rock, like a basketball or not quite that big rock. Smash, 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 and there was a couple rocks on the hood. It looked like they'd been bounced up and down on the hood a couple times. There were some dents in the long metal hood, and like I say, the dash had been smashed around, so a couple gauges were broke, and it was unbelievable, because that never happens in the mountains. You know, there's no road access there except the road that we were building, and there wasn't any tire tracks. Nobody had got there. They would have had to drive past the ranch house anyway, and that didn't happen. So there was no other access, and it was bizarre. The rocks, you know, there's no way they could have bounced down the canyon. It just wasn't that narrow there. It was, you know, a big wide creek bed. So somebody had stood there while we were gone at night, I guess, and smashed that tractor up with rocks. Oh man, it freaked us both out. We couldn't figure out who the hell would do that, why they'd do that. So it took us a while we talked about it. We debated whether we should go back and, you know, let the other guys know and try to figure this out, or just carry on. You know, it was so unusual for something like that to happen. We didn't know, but we decided we'd at least try to finish clearing up the creek, which was our plan originally, to go about a half mile up the creek, build a road access up the bottom. And we'd try to do that and then head back, you know, and try to make like an early day out of it and get the hell out of there. So we were both on edge, but we started working up that creek bed, which really required mostly me pushing brush and trees out of the way to kind of stay kind of up on the edge and out of the bottom the best I could without having to climb up onto the side of that steep mountain. So we worked ways, and then we got to a point where it was just more work than we weren't making headway. The trees were so thick, and the brush was so thick, and the rocks were big and loose, and we just couldn't. It wasn't really going very good. So we kind of took a break there and got to talking about it, and we decided, man, we're pretty much done. Let's get the hell out of here. This don't seem right. So we decided that, and we just beat feet and took that dozer and kind of cleaned the road as you do. You kind of polish it on the way back. When you build a road, you always polish it every pass. So we headed back and told the boys about it, and that night they had trouble believing that. I mean, obviously the evidence was there, but it freaked everybody out a bit. So a couple of the boys decided the next day they was going to go down in there and see what they could see. And of course, most all the guys in there have a weapon in the Jeep or on their side by side or something, just in case they see something like a lion or something they want to shoot. And so they went down in there with the intention of, you know, shooting something if they seen it. They was pretty upset about having the bulldozer attacked. So they went down in there, and the next day, two of the hands, and they never seen anything, but they said the same thing we did, is they just got totally freaked out by the whole thing. They felt funny down in there. You just felt like somebody's watching you the whole time. You ever have that feeling? And it's just one of those things that never be explained. You know, we're probably 10 miles from the nearest ranch, the other nearest ranch, and there's no way they'd have done something like that. So it's just one of those things. Anyway, something like that happened to you, send me an email and tell me about it. I'm kind of curious. I want to know how many other people have had a weird experience like that. I mean, are they aliens? Are they bushmen? Are they ghosts? You know, who the heck does that? Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you later.